What's good, family? Today is December 10th. This is FOMC day. We're going to run through my morning analysis, and then we're going to look at the trade that I ended up taking that ended up becoming an L on FOMC, look at some of the stuff I did wrong, and how I can avoid pretty much all of these losses from the one mistake that I made in the future entirely, right? So without further ado, let's just hop in. All right, so we're going to quickly jump to my morning analysis, and then I'll meet you guys back here, and let's look at how I ended up doing for the day.
What's good, y'all? It's like a fat little 6:58. I just want to hop on and show morning analysis. This is literally me in my whip, parked at school right now, about to do some morning analysis. Bro, trader's eye, bro, I can tell you not shit is going to happen today, bro. And if it is, it's going to be very, very low probability. We have now just swept this internal sell side right here. So let me draw this out. Hey, I'm on that computer, y'all, chill on me, all right? So right here, sweeping internal sell side. Now we have this big SMT from this level to this level. I'll just mark this out right here for clarity because it technically is still SMT. I actually hate trading on this computer, bro. Bro, whenever I get to trade at home, bro, with that nice setup, bro, it feels so much better. Right, but this is what we're looking at. We have this SMT in the morning, and this can be what we decide to start working higher from, right? And you see, I already got a little bit of a leg up right here. That's what I need to see hold, and that would be need to become our displacement right here. Once we get like this high, that values me to see a pullback, and then we can look to trade to this high all the way up here because that's where the model now comes to, right? So I'm gonna extend over that buy side. So I'm a little bit bullish going into today. We have FOMC later in the day, which I'm going to be trading around 2:30 if we do get a setup. That's honestly probably when we will get a setup, and it's gonna determine, right? Like if we come up and sweep this high and we're chilling for FOMC, we'll look more bearish. If we get higher than this for FOMC, we open here, we'll look pretty bullish, right? Then some kind of pullback, and then just a big expansion move on FOMC around 2:30, right? Yeah, bro. Hope this audio and all that isn't too bad, right? But watching this, right? Like I said, the only thing that's really developing my bias is going to be how we treat this point right here. If we displace higher, I mean, yes, it's very obvious, right? If we displace higher, this will now become our buy side of the curve, looking something like this, right? All the way back to this high up here, right? That's what I'm seeing for the analysis today. If we come up and we sweep one of these points right here, and we treat it as some type of just internal stop rate, so pull this over, just some type of internal stop rate right here, then that would confirm me to now see the rest of the model play out, right? So that SMT that's placing at these lows right here, that can just be just noise, honestly, because with these conditions, right, you have to kind of determine the real direction and the trade bound price with those just noise from price, right? So my SMTs this week have just been getting ran through upon ran through, right? So this is the analysis for today. Come in, be safe, expect nothing this morning, and honestly, maybe even nothing on FOMC. We'll see. FOMC could be one of the only good trading times we have for the rest of the month, because keep in mind, December, conditions are just getting worse and worse and worse. I've honestly made out pretty good for December so far, so I'm fine to just chill, honestly, and let the month go by, bro. So, yeah, that's my analysis today. Be safe today, and I'll update you guys with how I trade, what happens, and all that. So, peace out.
All right, so now let's look at what happened, right? So I was pretty good in understanding, like, reactionarily, like, if this happens, then this will happen, we can look at this happening, all that stuff, because that's honestly how I trade, right? But I think today, where I ended up taking the L was having not enough information on FOMC, and it's not really having enough conviction, but still taking a trade, and that caused me an L, right? So let's look into opens, look how everything goes, right? On open, we see manipulation lower, right? So let's just take all this stuff in the chart, and let's just start fresh right here. So on open, right, we see 930 candle comes down. I'm pretty sure we made some type of big SMT here, right? So yeah, we come down and we make double SMT right here. We sweep sell side. Now this looks good to start working higher to these highs now, right? If this was any kind of normal day in September, bro, I would have been taking the first 1 minute change in the state I can get right here. I would have blasted it to those highs, right? So I would have taken like right here, and then my stop probably at the bottom of this candle right here, and then I would have looked for this and maybe even probably more, right? So this ends up getting stopped. I mean, if you place your stop all the way down here, it doesn't. However, this is just not the type of efficiency in price that I want to be seeing, right? But this is a trade that I would take any other day, because with normal conditions, you will see stuff like this just go, dude, right? So we'll pull back, we'll just tap, and then we'll literally just perfectly go if everything's aligned like this with these types of confluence, right? But we're literally at the morning before FOMC. We have so many things happening, and it's just not a strong environment to be taking these super prediction kind of based, like 1 minute entries upon 1 minute entries, right? So after this, we kind of see the market push up, starting to mess around. We look good to the upside, right? We've seen kind of change. We're starting to see support off of that, and I want to see us rise back to the top. We also have to remember conditions, right? That's why I'm not taking any type of internal model trade right here, because it's just so messy. So after this, we see a push lower, right? And we come and make this SMT right here. So now looking at this SMT, this isn't even that bad of a long, honestly. If you took this, I don't think it was really that bad. Right around 1050, we make this big push higher, and then now is when I'm looking to kind of see the continuation, right? So after I see this for value gap placed, that's when I was thinking of potentially taking a trade right here and then kind of just playing it like this, right, to this high right here for 1.81. That gets immediately stopped out, and then price runs to the target. So a little bit, you know, not the happiest about this, but not really much we could do in terms of you know, what price did. I think it's just conditions, bro. Just understanding December conditions, bro. Do not take anything that looks sort of, bro. It has to be concrete. It has to be the move of the day. It has to be very, very good and very, very convicted with bigger time frame confirmation, right? You can't take anything just that's based off a 1 minute chart, even how good it looks, no matter how good it looks, right? So after this, we see push higher, right? And compare ES and NQ at this time, right? NQ is all the way lower. Let's pull that up, right? NQ is pretty much lower in this range, right? We're still kind of playing around in here, but we're not getting the big types of moves, right? We came down, we made another SMT, then we start to work our way higher. Now, this is where you could have taken a very, honestly, really nice 1 minute long all the way back to the upside, but I don't end up liking it because why you're once again predicting, whereas this time it ends up working, but this time it fails, this time it fails, and this time it fails, right? So if you trade this 5 times, you're gonna get 1 W, right? I don't really want to be trading like that, but overall, I mean, this does end up playing. So after this, we're kind of pushing. NQ's a little bit in the range. ES is getting closer to the draw, right? So now I have a good opportunity where we've had a 5 minute change. If I get some type of pullback in a really nice model, I can trade an internal model to go take this high, right? So the entry that I was looking for is, once again, I want to see some kind of pullback to an equilibrium of the range to give me confirmation that we're not just going to stop me out, right? Which we never end up getting. Don't even think we got it on NQ either, right? But we did end up getting some type of SMT right here. And then from here is where we start to push higher. This would have been your first change, right? Now, if this SMT was moved down to like somewhere right here or right here, I would take it on this very shallow change, right? But since price is just so low conviction in such choppy conditions, I would need to see a lot more confirmation than just this initial change. So I'd probably have to wait for this fair value gap and maybe even this candle to then catch an entry maybe here or even maybe here. And even then, look at how bad the RR is, right? If you take this to this, the R is super, super bad, super skewed. That's not the type of trade that I want to be taking, right? So after this, price just kind of plays around a little bit until FOMC, right? This is the show. This is where I end up taking my loss, and let's look at all of it, right? So on FOMC, we always have to figure out, this is going to be the move of the week where we are going to move a lot, and I want to figure out, where does price want to go that doesn't have the juice and the energy to be able to go, right? So I'm using all that I know to figure out on the 15-minute chart, if we could put 3 really big 15-minute candles in, where are they going to go, higher or lower, right? Now, what's going to determine that is what I see price action doing on this initial manipulation, and I kind of see price generating in the morning session, right? So morning session, we had 1, 2, 3 drives down here, right? We just completed this 3rd drive, and now we start to push our way higher. We made a 15-minute change. This is potential cause for a bullish push all the way back to the upside to use this as generated liquidity, because as well, look at ES, this is all generated liquidity, these two, boom, that's generating liquidity all the way to the highs, right? That looks okay. That could be the possibility. However, there could also be another possibility, right? We have new week open gap right here within this range. Where within the range is that? It's right around OTE, so pull that out. That's literally right as we tap into OTE, that's our new week open gap, right? So if we want to manipulate this, tap that, maybe make some kind of SMT here, then we could look to maybe see price run a little bit lower for the rest of the day, right? So what price does is exactly that, right? So our first 15-minute candle comes in, and I mean, you can see this clearly on the 1 minute. We come up and we place in this 14 candle, right? This is the candle that placed in a huge SMT right here on the bigger time frame. And this is what I'm looking at price reacting off of, right? So with you guys as experienced traders, look at the mistake that I make, because honestly, it was kind of a newbie mistake and it's kind of very easily identifiable. Look at the issue that I made with this trade, right? So I see we come up, we have internal manipulation on that point. We still hold that SMT intact. Now I'm looking to see some type of change in the state and a push lower to give me a confident opinion that we're going to push lower, right? Because I've seen pretty much everything I need to see. I've seen manipulation higher. I see general liquidity right here, even though the only issue with that is that we do have this SMT. I do see my manipulation higher. That goes back to new week open gap, back to OTE of the range. Now we can start to work higher and take these, or lower and take these 2 lows, right? That's what I see, right? That's what I see the market is doing, having a good chance of doing, right? So what I do is I wait for that push lower. I wait for price to confirm it. And how do I see price confirm it? Once we displace through this low and we make some kind of fair value gap, some kind of thing, right? After I see that, it's about 14.23, right? We see that displacement. Now is when I really like shorts, right? So the way that I'd really like to trade this would be right here, and then I place my stop just right here, right? That's probably the best way to do it. And I target this. That's honestly a really nice setup. However, the issue is a couple things, right? I end up taking this trade right here because I know price is going to go fast if it's FOMC, and I'm probably gonna get left unless I really take a nice scalpy entry. So I take this entry and I get stopped out. Why did I take this? Why did I get stopped out, right? I see price displacing. This gives me a bearish bias to go take these lows, right? what does price stop on to start reversing, right? It stops on two things. Number one, sweep of internal low, right? Sweep of internal low. And the most important thing that we all should be looking at, and the biggest lesson of today, is how FOMC has two parts, right? The first part is that 2 p.m., that big spike, right? Now price is going to set up from 2 to 2:30. The second 2:30 hits is when we see our actual move. Why is that? 2:30 is when Powell hops on stage, starts speaking, starts discussing, hey, this actually means this is what we think, this is what we think future projections will be. And he can answer some random questions that people in the audience just want to know. So that gives us the ability to understand, yo, Powell's answering questions. These are things that can actually move the market because they're not just a very broad blanket statement, right? These are things that people have opinions on. They can move the market very fast because our market makers are doing stuff, right? So at 2:30, literally at 2:30, that's when the market starts to move. So I entered this trade before 2:30. I placed my limits around 14.27. So 3 minutes before 2:30, that's like entering 3 minutes before news, right? When I'm not recognizing that the reality of this is a push lower manipulation to then completely rate me in the opposite direction, right? So I need to recognize that, first of all, you're trading pretty much before a news event. Second of all, you need to trade at 2:30 or after 2:30 even. And besides all of that, like this could have been the setup if you want to trade 2:30. I probably would have taken something like this, right? And this would have been really, really clean. You get tapped and price just runs without you, or runs with you, right? This would have been super clean. You either have to trade at or after 2:30, no before 2:30, and if it goes before 2:30, it's whatever, right? And the big issue that I think was a huge problem with the way that I traded today was I didn't even really think about the actual cuts or hikes of the rates. I just thought, hey, FOMC, price is moving, right? And normally with 99% of your news events, the news and the volatility and everything, news exists to push price towards the already existing drawn liquidity. That is a fact, right? So in 99% of the time, price is going to do exactly that. News is just going to push us towards the drawn liquidity that technicals are telling us news will go to, right? And the actual reality of the PPI, CPI, all that stuff, maybe NFP is a little bit of an exception, but most of those will not really care that much, but they'll just push price to the already existing technical draw, then maybe carry out what the technicals want us to, or what the fundamentals want us to think, right? However, FOMC is different. This is a huge event that places itself kind of above our technical key levels and our liquidity levels and all these things, right? Like, as I'm looking for this news low to become a key level that I can trade off of, I'm gonna have to understand that that's not really a key level for price to draw towards, because we don't care about that, because we care about this huge influx of volatility from 2:30 fundamental news, right? So understand that, right? And like I said, I didn't even know the actual truth about what happened, hikes or cuts, right? If rates are hiked, price is going lower. If rates are cut, price is jumping higher, right? So the second that I know, hey, 2:30, rates are cut, right? We're looking pretty bullish. Now I can factor that into my analysis and say, hey, I mean, the bullish bias doesn't look too bad. If I see some type of nice bullish setup around 2:30, that gives me high probability confidence to go ahead and take that, right? So stuff like that, that's what I need to be recognizing and understanding. So that's why I believe a lot of people took this long right here. I think I wish I could have taken this long. I think it was just a couple different issues on my end that I didn't really care too much about. Like, I just kind of had some things backwards about FOMC, right? That I hope you guys can understand about FOMC. Another thing that I think is really good to look at is how the Q&A section, right? So at 2:30, Powell comes on and speaks for roughly 5 minutes, and he speaks about his opening statement, kind of talking about, hey, this is what we thought, this is why we thought that, and some things, right? No one really cares. It's kind of blanket, it's kind of prepared, right? Stuff like that. Where the market starts to move a lot back and forth fast is when Powell gets asked a question, because they can ask him any kind of question, right? I think these are reporters. So right here, I thought this was interesting. They asked him a question about AI, and apparently whatever he said, the market makers did not like. So they dumped price about, like, what is this? 160 points on NASDAQ. That's kind of crazy, right? They dumped price this much within like 7 minutes, 6 minutes, and then they just completely recover it within the same amount of time. So looking at how, bro, Powell can move the market a lot very quickly, right? So we have to understand that, right? A lot of people took this trade right here, getting answered here, stopped here, and then they left runners for this up here, and they end up getting stopped at break even though this looks so great, because of that huge, not only is the market doing its job, stopping people out, preventing them from making money, but also that huge spike lower from what Powell said, right? From the market makers moving and manipulating based off of that. That's what we have to recognize and take into account today, right? So then you could have had a re-entry right here if you don't wait for a change, right? For that type of dude. You could have taken this right here. I don't think this was too bad. Yeah, this was probably the second trade of the day. I thought both of these were honestly fine. I just think today I should have been more focused on my technical or my fundamental, like looking at actually what FOMC was and just that knowledge component of waiting for 230, because that's when the market will usually make that actual move, right? So going forward, these are easy mistakes for me to stop making. And now that I know my mistakes very blanketly, it's very easy for me to say, hey, stop doing these mistakes, right? But the difficulty comes in actually transforming myself in doing that, right? That's why traders make so much money, bro. People say that you make as much money as value as you contribute to society, and that's true for 99% of things, right? But where it becomes untrue is when you think about, I equate it more towards difficulty and the unattainability of that status, because when you factor in jobs like day trading or entrepreneurs, right? A lot of entrepreneurs don't add much value to society, but they make a ton of money. Why is that, right? It seems like a loophole. It's because that status of being an entrepreneur, being a day trader, being these exotic positions, right? You have to achieve a level of its unattainability, right? And it's very low supply, high demand. A lot of people want these, right? So the way that I think about it is it's so difficult that so few people can do it, that those who get to that point, they deserve a lot of compensation. Why is it so difficult? Because of what we have to do today. I got on the market and I took a trade that, looking back, I don't think was good. I don't think the trade was good. I think the idea was technically there, but I made a ton of small mistakes that costed me around $500 because I made a bad read and I didn't care about a certain couple things, right? I looked at something and I said, hey, I think that can work, but also, I don't know, right? Like, I think I'm just going to take this. This looks fine. Making that act of almost laziness, that's what inspires you to realize, hey, like, you need to understand, so few people can sit there and look at themselves in the face and say, bro, you made a mistake. You have to change, right? And don't attach it to your identity. Don't say you are the mistake. You're the kind of person that makes these mistakes all the time. You have to look at it and say, hey, you did this. Now, unemotionally, completely objectively, from a third-person perspective, almost like you're a video game character, like you in real life is a video game character, and you're just sitting there as your mind, leveling him up, forcing him to do the best things, eat the best food, go to the gym every day, work out, only follow the best habits, get rich as possible, all those things, right? You have to sit there and unemotionally change yourself and say, hey, tweak the system, tighten this bolt, unloosen this thing, turn this to the left, right? Do all those things. Now, don't trade before 230. Iron your system out, bro. Understand emotionally, this is the cost of doing business, right? Things like this are going to happen all the time, and there's no issue with it. That's the reality of trading. And that's what not only you have to go through to get to this position of being a day trader, but you have to do it because God puts these things in your life, right? You're not worthy of all this money and all of these things unless you've been taught all of the lessons, right? And you've gone through school, right? People think there's no day trading school. Your school is your tuition that the market makes you pay by losses, by hours, by nights, by thinking, by so much mental transformation that you become someone that's worthy of this position, right? So what I'm trying to say is we need to sit here and be so objective and so lifelong learner, so not hurt and heartbroken and shut out and hardened and scaled by our own emotional and own like self-worth mistakes, right? We have to look at these things and say, okay, yeah, I made a mistake, but that doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean that I'm less than, it doesn't mean that I'm this or that, right? And that's what day traders go through, bro. That's why this is such a hard path to take. But if you choose it, it will give you rewards, right? It's one of these things that we have to continuously think about and understand, bro, we are not our mistakes. We have to look at these things objectively, get on here and objectively write out this journal. I did this, I should have done this, I will not do this again. And that's why so many people think in terms of difficulty, bro. So many people that are so smart, they go to work every day and they do a job that's not hard and there's no difficulty and they make however much money, right? Why do they make so little money or so much money? It's because it's the difficulty or not difficulty, right? And even those people who are like Wall Street executives and they don't even work anymore, but they make $500K a year because they were put through so much difficulty and adversity on their come up that now they can show, right? And still get that compensation, right? So what I'm trying to say is do the things that are difficult, right? That teacher that goes to school every day and she maybe teaches a complex subject like computer science or whatever, her job isn't hard because she knows everything. She just plays around with students. She never touches into discomfort. It's always comfortable for her. If she had to go home and do a emotional analysis of this is what I did wrong, this is what I did right, I care about these things, I'm this person. If she had to do that, it would be so hard for her That's why, as day traders, bro, we're in this position where we have to maximize our ability to do that. We have to maximize our ability to objectively look at the things that we're doing and change them, because we don't want to end up as those people, and we want this to happen, right? We want this to happen. We know it's going to happen. We're convicted it's going to happen. Things like that have to inspire the hell out of us to do what we know is right, even if it's hard, even if it's not comfortable, and just get it done for the compensation and for the dreams that we have to make things like this happen. So honestly, I think today was a really great day for me to learn, and I hope you guys learned some lessons too. Understood. I hope even if you guys took some W trades, understanding like we all hate lost days, bro, but they're things that have to happen because it's like a chessboard, bro. Or I think of it like checkers, right? The whole checkers board, you drop the things in. How many lessons or how many situations can you get to where you can drop the circle into the thing, have it come up and fill the entire board up, and then get to a new layer, fill the new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer. Go through everything, learn every single lesson possible, fill in every hole, and then become that perfect version of yourself, right? It's something that we're always chasing, but we have to chase it to become better, to continuously better ourselves, right? It's those things that we have to do, right? I hope you guys learned some lessons. Hope you guys think about some stuff that I'm saying in this video. Hope you guys learned some emotional, mental growth from, technical analysis growth too, from the charts today, from your performance today. Go home, journal, bro. Make sure you squeeze every little bit out of every single day possible, because this is the most authentic and the only one true best way to become a profitable trader. So, without further ado, I'm gonna let you boys go, and I'll catch you in the next video. So, peace out.